Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Um, my name is Victor, and for today's video, I wanted to do almost like a follow-up to the last video, which is the beginner's tarot. And my goal is to just kind of go through the different steps that were covered within that video and just go a little bit more in depth. So this way we have a overall view of what the basics are, and then just dive a little bit more in depth on what each of those items are. Before we get started, if you are really enjoying this content, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and then let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover in the future. I really want to turn this into as educational as possible, especially just kind of starting off before we dive into something a little bit more complex, a little bit deeper. So getting the basics covered and allowing new people to come in and be able to enjoy the wonderful art of tarot. I think it will benefit everybody, and it will make it so much more accessible to those who really want to pick it up. So without further ado, let's just begin. All right. So to start off with, this video, as the title suggests, is to go over tarot spreads and to go a little bit more in depth from what I covered into the beginner's guide. Is that a tarot spread is the way that you are deciding to do a reading by laying out cards in a specific order in order to get the answer to the question or to get the overall story or message that you're supposed to receive. So what this means is that we can go to something very, very simple, to like a one card draw for what you would do on a daily basis, if that's something that you're interested in doing, just to kind of get an overall theme of how your day is going to go. And then we can cover over spreads that are a little bit more complex, like the Celtic Cross, and then kind of how to go about even creating your own if not one single spread really fits your needs. You shouldn't have to be restricted to what's only out there or what's commonly used, but rather you can go ahead and just kind of create your own and, make tarot your own, and make sure that you feel comfortable with what you decide to do. So let's just kind of go through some very simple examples of it, and then we'll just kind of show it with our tarot cards, just kind of how you will go about doing simple spreads. Then progressively get a little bit more complex with more cards, and then overall how to go about into making your own. So let's get started. Okay, so here, just to kind of get started, we have our tarot deck right here, just to show what kind of spreads we're going to end up using. This is the Cordain Tarot. This is my personal deck that I had created over the past 2 years with a artist over in Finland. So I'm really happy to be able to show this, and as well as being able to really go in more in depth about these spreads. So let's start with something very simple. As you should always start, you first want to go ahead and you want to shuffle your cards. You want to make sure that you are being as thorough as possible. Feel free to shuffle, feel free to cut, feel free however it is that's going to be the most comfortable to you. There is no right or wrong answer when it comes to shuffling the cards. Now keep in mind that if you are looking into having your cards show readings in both upright or reversed, then make sure that you're not so much worried about how you are cutting your cards in order to shuffle them. But if you are, then just be mindful that as you're drawing cards and you mess it up along the way, that you just turn them right side up and you should be okay. I know one question that gets asked is, well, is it better to just do upright only, or you want to do upright and reversed? And the answer for you is it's completely up to you, in my personal opinion. I know that there are plenty of people that will recommend using both the upright and reversed, since it can give a lot more meaning and it can give you a better perspective on things. But if you're not comfortable or you're not really sure how to start out using the reverse sides, then don't panic over it. Don't overwhelm yourself. You can just start doing upright cards. And then as things develop, then you can try to read them in reverse and kind of seeing how it works out for you. Now we kind of have the cards cut. One thing that I would love to do is let's just start with something very simple. Let's just do a one card spread. And what that means that we're just going to draw one card, whether it is you want to look at the top card, whether you want to look at the bottom card, whether you want to cut the deck first, and then decide which top card you want to look between the two piles. If you feel prompted or inclined to do one thing over another, then just go ahead and do that. But this is kind of where you start developing your own style of being able to do tarot. So I'm just going to draw from the top just to make things very simple. And here we have. So for this one, we have the Knight of Wands. So if I was to do a general reading in regards to a simple one card layout or spread, if it was just looking into my day, is looking at it as the Knight of Wands, which you could interpret as something a little bit more textbook style, which could be something like, you know, take initiative, seize the day, you know, head on into whatever activities it is that you want to do, start working on your new ideas. Perhaps this can be a really good day for you to kind of make it your own and kind of start to do things that you had already planned to do, or keep the momentum going if you have already started on a project or an idea that you have put a lot of thought into. So that's one way to look at it. You know, there's nothing complex here to just looking at the one card. If this is something that you just kind of want to get a hang on and just kind of practice each and every day, just to draw a simple card each day and then just figure out how your day is going to go by just looking at the card, then just start off with that. Now, one thing that I would recommend is that if you're not sure what a card meaning is, don't be afraid to look into a book that can help you look up meanings. But I highly do encourage you that you want to look into the picture of the card and see if there's anything in there that really resonates to you, anything that really stands out to you of what the day could mean. So don't take it as the Knight of Wands only means this one thing, but rather what is the thing that really makes it stand out to you? What are you getting from the card? What is the card trying to tell you? And just go off from that. So now that we kind of have this one done, now let's go into something a little bit more complex. Let's go into the next step. I know that some people like to do 3-card spreads. So this way you draw 3 cards. I'll just have them laid down in the face down position, just so that this way we're kind of getting used to what these cards are. And you will just lay them out like this, sit them next to each other. So this way you know what's going to happen. So some common spreads that you can use for the 3 cards is looking at a past, present, future, or you can just look into answering a simple question and then have all 3 cards tell you a story. So for example, in this one, I'm going to go into a past, present, future kind of reading just with these 3 cards. The first one will be the past, the middle one will be the present, and this right one will be the future. If we're going into something like this, you might want to go into perhaps a question in mind compared to the 1 card pickup for the day, where you can just kind of look to see how your day is going to turn out. For spreads that require more cards, just try to keep a question in mind. So you can have something in regards to, hey, how do I feel about starting a new project? How do I feel about buying a home? How do I feel about starting a new job? How will my interview go later this day? Should I talk to the person that I'm having a crush on, etc., etc. So these are things that you want to keep in mind, and then we're going to go and try to notice a pattern of the past, present, future. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw. We have here the 10 of Pentacles. Then with this one, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And then with this one, we have the Queen of Swords. So if we were trying to interpret this with the intention of being a past, present, future, you can look at the 10 of Pentacles and you can look at it as more of a, you know, you're very family oriented, something that really sticks out to you. You are trying to work towards having a lot of stability within your family. You are working to kind of have everything settled in. You make sure that you have everything in stock. So this way you're preparing for a bad case event. So this can speak to the nature of the person, which is more of someone who likes to be very prepared, to protect those that are very close to them, who they consider family. This can be someone who's just very family oriented, someone who is working towards the benefit of everybody that is involved that you consider close to you, and any other meanings that you might want to draw from this card. Then we look at the Wheel of Fortune. Now, with the Wheel of Fortune, we're looking at something that's a major arcana card. These cards usually tend to give a deeper meaning because they seem to be life lessons that are happening throughout your life that you need to learn, things that you need to overcome, things that you need to face, things that you cannot really avoid. And they can be a lot of really good benefit to you as you are going through that experience. So sometimes these major arcana cards can really denote something of greater importance. Usually the Wheel of Fortune, it can be, think of it like a game show, right? The Wheel of Fortune, you're kind of tossing the wheel and you're trying to take a chance at luck, in a sense. You can look at it that way. You can look more into the symbolisms that are within the card itself, where you want to take control of your own fate, where you want to take a chance into doing something. Perhaps you want to try your luck. Perhaps there is a lot of burden on your shoulders of what you're trying to carry, and perhaps a little bit of time to just kind of let go a little bit. Again, see kind of what the card is really speaking to you. And if we're looking into a spread like this, then perhaps we're looking into more of a, hey, you're a lot more focused into your family. You have a lot of burdens to carry. And so don't let the struggles that you have had in the past in regards to your family, of how you try to be a caretaker, how you try to look out for others, be the thing that kind of jeopardizes whatever it is happening in your present, right? You want to make sure that you are taking control and you're in charge of what your destiny is moving forward, rather than carrying whatever it is that had happened in the past. Whether that can be a negative experience, or perhaps something that you're still kind of carrying on, or perhaps a worry that you keep at the back of your mind that really plays into what you're experiencing right now. Then you're looking into the future. You're looking at the Queen of Swords, right? Queen of Swords, it's really someone who just speaks blunt truth, someone who doesn't sugarcoat things, someone who hones in on the fact that this is the undeniable truth, whether you like it or not. A little bit more of an abrasive, cold card. So perhaps this is just kind of taking you into perhaps a warning, saying, hey, you know, even though you're trying to shed things that have happened from the past, don't let that be the thing that kind of turns you into this cold person into the future. Or perhaps there's someone in the future that you're going to meet that really embodies that kind of personality, right? And perhaps that's kind of the chance that you are taking here. So I really want you to be thinking about, you know, how these cards and the way that you laid them out really speaks to you moving forward, and how that really denotes what your prediction is based on what you are drawing here. But this is just a general idea of how a 3-card spread of a past, present, future, how you would do this kind of reading, and perhaps how you want to take each card into account for what you are looking at here. Now we kind of covered this simple one. Don't be afraid to kind of test out other spreads that even require the same number of cards. For example, if you just want to get a simple answer in regards to something that's coming up in the near future, you can do another 3 cards. And instead of interpreting this all as past, present, future, you can also interpret them as cards that are really working together to compile one full story. For example, if I was reading the same spread, but perhaps someone is asking me about, they're meeting up with friends from the past and they're not sure how that interaction is going to go, you know, is there anything that they need to keep in mind, you know, then perhaps I will be looking at these 3 cards as one big overall arching theme of perhaps, hey, you know, there was somebody who used to be the caretaker of the family, someone who really was the one that you would consider to be the one that kind of pulled everybody together. Maybe that's the person that's organizing this party all together. Perhaps it's the gathering of everybody here and it's just being reinforced through this card. Then you have the Wheel of Fortune, so that probably means a lot of things have happened since you last met. Perhaps we're talking about life-changing events of people riding up really highs or going down through real lows, and perhaps they're looking for that support of the family, so this way they kind of have somebody to talk to, someone who they can share those experiences with. someone who they can lean on without having to do this all themselves. And perhaps there's somebody there that, hey, maybe be warned. There might be somebody there who throughout the years has grown a little bit more cynical, someone who's grown a little bit more cold. Well, don't let that person drag down the energy of the entire group. Again, depends on what the question is and depends on how you are spreading out your cards. You can really tell the difference on how you want to tell the story based on what's being asked. Okay, so for this next spread, we have the Celtic Cross. So for this one, it's a little bit more complex, but I know it's very popular. And if this is something that you're starting off with, even though this can look a little bit more intimidating, fear not, because this can give you a really good opportunity to really start to learn how to dive deeper into cards and perhaps gives you a lot of things to ponder about. We start off by putting the middle card first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. And essentially just trying to get a full picture of everything that is happening. So we're going to do a example question, and then we're just going to dive into what a reading like this could be. So let's say that that you met someone new in your life and you're looking to see how that relationship is going to grow and develop. And maybe some things that you need to be careful as the relationship takes its trajectory. Are there any red flags? Are there any things that you need to be aware of? So we're gonna kind of go and do an example through this and then just kind of walk it through. So this first one is your present position. It's kind of where you are right now. What are you doing? And you have here is the Empress. So the Empress is a very powerful card. It's a very motherly figure. Is someone that usually tends to be a nurturer. So perhaps this speaks to you in regards to how you are as a person. Perhaps it speaks to your personality and perhaps what you have to bring to the table when it comes into the relationship. Perhaps you are this nurturer. You're someone that is this giver, someone who people can go to and really find comfort, almost like a mother figure. And then you have the second card, which is the immediate influence. So what is things that are influencing you? We have here the Three of Swords. Three of Swords usually can denote something like a heartbreak. That is a very common card for denoting heartbreak. Now, when you get cards like this and you have a relationship question, it does not always correlate a one-to-one. For example, how is my relationship gonna go? And then you get a Three of Swords. That does not mean the relationship is doomed by any stretch of the imagination. Perhaps there's just something deeper that you have to look into. Because of the way that this spread works, this is currently the influence. And perhaps that even though your personality is based on being a nurturer, the one thing that's showing up is, perhaps past experiences, past heartbreaks that you have had. Perhaps these are things that are influencing you and maybe bringing out insecurities in your relationship. Perhaps this is the thing on where it's making you question perhaps their motives. So it gives us a little bit more background of perhaps something that is going on that is currently in your thought process when it comes into your present status. Now, this is the third card is here, your goal or your destiny. So for this one, we have the Page of Wands. So the goal with this relationship is for you to just enjoy the moment of it, be spontaneous, be more carefree. This card is really good to just kind of be a little bit more spontaneous type of card, a little bit more of a carefree attitude. So maybe that's the thing that you need to be focusing on as you're maybe diving into this new relationship. Perhaps it is something that should be more of your focus rather than focusing on look at all these past experiences. Focus more on just having fun, just enjoy the moment. Don't overthink things and just kind of be spontaneous in all the things that are occurring without having to really overthink things through. In the fourth, we're talking here now about the distant past. So for the distant past, we have here the Seven of Cups. Perhaps this talks about a time in your life where you've had a lot of choices. Perhaps you had to choose between your career, school, family. Perhaps this talks about even perhaps in your dating pool, right? Maybe you had a lot of different people who you will go out with. Maybe one day you'll go out with this person, one other day you'll go out with another person. Perhaps the different ways on how you used to attract people. Seven of Cups usually denotes choices. Perhaps there is no one wrong one, but knowing that it's in the distant past, you used to be someone that perhaps was a little bit picky. And this is how you are seeing how the spread is really playing into maybe how the story is being told. You're taking the card meaning and you're attaching it to whatever the spread layout is supposed to be. Then here we have more of the recent past. So the recent past we have here is the King of Cups. So King of Cups is someone who is more emotional, usually denotes emotional maturity. But you want to make sure that perhaps this is something that has just started to kind of focus more in you looking into dating. Perhaps you're looking for someone who's a little bit more emotionally mature, someone who's not looking to play games, right? Perhaps you have had experiences where you see maybe other people around you that are, having perhaps partners that are a little bit more thoughtful and a little bit more care, that show a little bit more care. And perhaps that's something that really struck to you. And now you're looking for someone who can kind of match that level of maturity, or perhaps match that level of emotion to what you're looking for. 6 is the future influence. So perhaps you're looking here now is the Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles is about that money. Make sure you have the stability. Make sure that whatever it is that you're leading off with, maybe you're focused on a little bit of too much of everything, right? You see that this person maybe met your emotional focus, but now you're not worrying about, but are they financially secure? Are they financially stable? How do I start to figure that out? Maybe it is something that now starting to catch your interest. Perhaps it's something that you're going to be focusing on. Maybe as you go on more dates, you're going to be seeing in the near future, maybe how that financial stability is going to come into play, perhaps as future dates occur, or as they let you more into their life, or perhaps you start to notice certain patterns that this starts to become a little bit of a focus. So again, just even looking at these first cards, because of the way that the spread works, we are looking at your present, your influence, you're looking at your goals, your distant past, your recent past, and then your future. So again, you're seeing how all the cards, even though they have very specific meanings, they're starting to tell a more thorough and full story. And that's one of the really great things that this Celtic Cross really brings to the table. You're able to get a much fuller picture of everything that is happening, things that are kind of leading the way, things that are starting to kind of pave the path to everything that you're starting to see. And then that just kind of comes into these last 4 cards of the Celtic Cross. We're looking here at the questioner. We're looking here at an Ace of Cups. Then we're looking at environmental factors. We're looking here at the 7 of Wands. We're looking at your inner emotions. That's the Queen of Wands. And then we're looking here at the final results. Based on all of this, and we can go and dive right into one of them, but I don't want to make this video way too long. But the overall theme of what we're seeing here, if we're sticking with the same question, is we're looking here as in being a guarded person. Perhaps there's a lot of emotional growth that still has to come from you. A lot of maturing, a lot of opening up that has to occur from your end because of all the defenses that you have up. And then looking at the inner emotions, and the final result is that you want to feel like you're the center of attention of this person's life. You want to have them make you feel beautiful. You want them to make you feel secure. You don't want to have them make you feel like there's somebody else in their mind, but rather that you are the center of their attention, and that they make you feel sexy, beautiful, confident. But because of all of these conflicting factors of what we're seeing here with these other cards, perhaps the final result of everything that's going to happen is you're going to have to come to a decision, or perhaps they will, because the Two of Swords is about decision making without having all the information. But we have a lot of information thanks to tarot, and that's the beautiful thing about it. We see a lot of insecurities are starting to seek through. Maybe you have a lot of high expectations, perhaps too much that you want from somebody, and perhaps you're looking at their shortcomings as red flags. And then you're going to have to be like, well, is that someone who I really want to be with? Is that somebody who wants to be with me? And decisions will have to be made based on everything that's being played out. And, we don't have the full story here, because then we'll have to draw more cards, and that's totally okay. But you're starting to get a feel of kind of how all these cards just kind of come into play, and really just gives you a punch of information that you just kind of have to start digging in and dissect. whether you want to do a single card, just single cards, or if you want to take the whole thing as a story and then just kind of make it flow like you're reading a book. And then lastly, is, well, how do you go about creating your own spread? And to be honest, for this one, just have fun. What makes you feel the most comfortable? What makes you feel confident when you start to draw cards? For me personally, even though I'm not someone who does Celtic Crosses on a regular basis, I do enjoy kind of having my own spread. That kind of gives me a really good idea of what the Celtic Cross is, but I just kind of condense it down to kind of my own thing. And for me, what I like to do is that I like to draw one card here, which gives me that person's current state of mind. It allows me to really get a feel of what their most important thing is regarding to their question. It allows me to kind of really see kind of what they're even trying to manifest for themselves, because a lot of the times when you are in a certain headspace, it can really play into how everything else is kind of plays around you. Then I like to do 3 cards that really denote what are the things happening currently right now? What are things that are happening in the present? What are some things that are playing factors into your question? Just kind of seeing what is happening right now allows you to gain a really good insight into, you know, is there anything that is blocking you? Maybe things that they're not aware of. Maybe just trying to state the obvious, but things that perhaps is all being influenced together. Then I like to do 3 cards, which is usually the warning / advice. So in order for you to achieve your goal, you know, what are you looking in order for you to do? What is the advice that you have to take in order for you to get there? Is there a warning instead of an advice? What is that warning? What is something that you have to be aware of so you don't make that mistake coming up? And then I usually like to do 2 additional cards at the end, just to give me potential results. A potential result of you following the advice or the warning, and a potential of if things keep going the way that they are, then what are we looking at down the road? But this is something simple that I like to do. It just makes me feel comfortable. It's something that just makes sense. It's something that just really came to me by just fiddling around with my cards. It's just something that really came to me naturally. And doing something that really comes from you is going to show a lot of personality into how you were attuning yourself into tarot. And it also gives you an opportunity to kind of branch out once you're a little bit ready to spread those wings. All right, so just as a really small recap of this video, we've been able to cover kind of what a spread is, some examples of 3 different kinds of spreads. One is a very simple one that you can do with just drawing 1 card each day. You have something a little bit more intermediate, which is the 3 card spread. So maybe doing like a past, present, future, or anything that denotes just drawing 3 cards and just drawing them next to each other. And then something more complex like the Celtic Cross. You know, you're drawing 10 different cards in there and trying to figure out the overall message of everything that is happening based on the question that you're asking. And the other one is, well, what if I just want to do my own thing? How do you do your own custom tarot spreads? And I really hope that you had fun in learning a little bit more about card spreads and learning a little bit more about how to go about them. And perhaps this will lead you into the right track on how to make tarot more fun and more practical for you. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm hoping that as I keep covering the basics, I will have a full comprehension of everything that you need to know when you're first starting out. I'm really excited for you to be taking part of this journey. If there's anything that you would like to learn or anything that you would like to have covered in the future, feel free to let me know in the comments. And if there is anything that I missed or perhaps something that I needed to have covered in this video, let me know as well. So without further ado, enjoy the rest of your day. Keep having fun with tarot, and I'll see you next time.